Hello, how are ya? You clicked on the title, so I feel like we understand the tone of today's video. I am gonna start folding and get this depression party started. First of all, I hesitate to even have these conversations because I don't ever want anyone to feel like I'm ungrateful for the position that I'm in. You know, I feel like unfortunately on the internet you have to like preface everything because people are so quick to take everything the wrong way, and I feel like so many people assume the worst in everyone, which is like so sad. That's a conversation for another day. And every time I contemplate making a video, I'm like, why am I doing this to myself if I'm so like deeply concerned about what everyone else thinks? But my husband is the best, and you know, he sometimes screenshots comments on videos and like sends them to me that are like, thank you so much for sharing how you're feeling, it really helped me, or like, you know, he sent me this one about that someone wrote about the book, and like that kind of stuff is so encouraging in terms of me like actually being vulnerable and talking about what's actually going on, even at the risk of maybe someone or several people misunderstanding where I'm coming from. This is a subject that obviously clicked on the title that I feel like is taboo, and I feel almost like not ashamed. I just feel like I've been putting off having this conversation because I'm like, okay, like, you know, again, I don't want to be a downer, and there's so much good happening, and I'm so grateful for this baby growing inside of me, and I just can't wait for the baby to be here and for us to meet the babe and like, you know, finally form this family that I feel like I've been pregnant forever. And I'm so grateful for it. I count my lucky stars. Okay, I'm rambling. Anyways, last week I alluded to the fact that I was having a super off week, and my schedule was all off because I just simply couldn't fathom turning on the camera. And that's because I was experiencing some depression, which, you know, I tend to be more of an anxiety gal than a depression gal. I've had depression in the past, but I really don't feel like that's my shtick. So, you know, it's a challenge in a different way that I'm used to in terms of a mental health hurdle to get through. But I was sort of warned that this is very common, and you know, I also had gone off my medication before getting pregnant, so like, plus all the hormones, like, I know everything that's happening is totally normal, and some of that, like knowing that, is definitely very helpful. But I felt like, okay, if I'm feeling this on a small scale, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that are feeling this on a small or even grand scale, and maybe me having a conversation about it, even if it's not the most eloquent, well thought out, or like, whatever, if it's just like me word vomiting my feelings, maybe it will be helpful or comforting to someone out there, even if you're not pregnant, if you're just going through a bout of you know, mental blockage or mental downage or depression or whatever, however it's manifesting in you. Yeah, so I think I just like woke up one day and I felt it like in my body, like in my bones. It wasn't even like I could like fully identify what was the trigger. It was just like I woke up and I felt that feeling. If you know that feeling, for me it manifests in like sort of a heavy chest, sort of like a sluggish gait. It's just like a sad feeling. It's just a sad feeling, and it lasted me like a pretty like heavy bout, lasted for like 2 days straight, where like I literally like sat and like just like stared out the window kind of thing. I felt super unmotivated. I like just felt down, and you know, I'm really lucky to have a husband that's so supportive and who kind of like helped talk me through some of the things. And luckily I actually had therapy on one of those days, so that was very helpful. I'm jumping all over the place, sorry. In my head, I had planned out how I was gonna do this. I was gonna present to you how I was feeling, and then at the end we could talk about some options in terms of how to get through it, at least how I got through it. But in telling you how the day went, I guess it makes the most sense to say, like, having my husband here to talk me through some of this, then having therapy, and then also, like, I'm always very hesitant to reach out to my friends when I'm having downtime. I feel like I am the friend who people come to with their problems, and I'm comfortable in that position, and I think I thrive in that position. And when it's like the opposite, I feel like that's not my position. I'm not supposed to be the one asking for help. I'm not supposed to be the one posing problems. I'm not supposed to be the downer. Do you know what I mean? Which is like, that's not what friendship is. Friendships should be, and relationships in general should be, like, full package. Like, every side of you should be able to lean on your friends. And I know if my friends were listening to this, they'd be like, oh my God, what are you talking about? Like, we love nothing more than to, like, reciprocate and give back and take care. But, like, it's not my first, like, go-to thing to do. But this time around, I was like, I gotta reach out specifically to some friends who have been pregnant, and, like, express myself, and, like, knowing that I'm not alone, and that this is, like, pretty normal, and that this is going to pass, and this is part of the process, and, you know, all those things that you go through your head, like, oh my God, I'm never gonna get out of this, oh my God, this is bad for the baby, oh my God, you know, you can really go down this rabbit hole. And so to reach out to a friend, actually a couple friends, and have the conversation was so helpful, and kind of put everything into perspective. So I don't know, I just wanted to be honest. I can't fake it for too long on here. I can fake it once in a while just because that's life, and sometimes we just fake things to, like, most of the time not even have to deal with things. But I just, like, needed to be honest going into this week about just, like, where I'm at. Things that are going through my head now I can share. You know, there's just so much change, and I'm not good with change, even if it's, like, the greatest change. And I feel like change usually leads to even greater things than I could have imagined. But the process of getting to the change and getting through the change is always pretty difficult for me. I'm a super creature of habit. That's where my anxiety and, like, OCD manifest. I feel comfortable when I'm within my, like, bounds. And so not only is this a huge life change coming that, like, I'm so excited about, but I can still be so excited and also so, like, overwhelmed and scared, and all the feelings. So there's that. I'm also about to turn 40, and, like, I guess maybe that's weighing on me a little bit more than I thought. Like, I'm really proud of who I am and where I'm at in life, and, like, what I've achieved, but I still feel like I'm still so, like, uncertain about, like, what I want to be when I grow up and what's next. And, like, there's just so much uncertainty, and there's something about the number 40, like, that's a big number that is, like, a little bit jarring. And so I think that there's definitely that. Definitely I have hormones just, like, flowing through me left and right. So there's that. I mean, I feel like, generally speaking, the energy, like, I'm pretty porous to energy. I'm very empathetic. I'm an Enneagram 9, if you know anything about that. And I feel like the energy, like, out in the world is, like, super frenetic. And I feel like a lot of my friends are going through a lot of stuff. And I feel like I'm having a hard time not taking that all on my shoulders and, like literally sucking in all that energy. So there's that. Also, I had spoken and I made a video about, like, our garage got broken into, and that sent me off on, like, a very, like, kind of triggered, oh, this is still wet. Yeah, that sent me off on, like, this kind of safety trigger where, like, there's nothing worse than not feeling safe in your own home. And we've had some issues in the past here, and, like, it just sort of brings up some past sort of traumas around feeling safe. So there was that. It was just, like, one thing after the next that maybe I've been sweeping and shoving in as I, you know, focus on building this baby and keeping my channel afloat and stuff. And then it just all kind of came to a head this last week. I think the weather too. God bless you all, guys. I was born and raised in sunny California, and I now got a glimpse of what it's like to have seasonal depression because it's been so rainy here and we're just not used to that. If you live in a place where weather is like this all the time, you are so strong. You are so much stronger than I am, because the minute it gets even like a little bit gloomy here, I like it changes my mood so much. And I've heard that from several other people that have sort of been feeling the downs these last couple of weeks with the rain. So yeah, I guess I don't know exactly where I'm going with this conversation, other than to say I think I'm experiencing a little bit of pregnancy depression, and I'm giving myself permission to have this conversation, so I'm not, I don't want to feel ashamed and like I can't have it. Again, this is such like a beautiful, wonderful thing. I just feel like people don't talk about, or at least like, I talked about it a little bit at the very beginning when I told you guys like my first trimester I felt a little bit lonely. And I was talking with another girlfriend of mine, and I expressed that to her. I was like, you know, I was so lonely in my first trimester because there were so many changes right off the bat, and like your life instantly changes in terms of lifestyle and just like mindset, like everything, you know? And she was like, oh my God, I totally went through that period, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I wish I would have reached out earlier so that I didn't feel so alone, but I was so prideful and I didn't want to put anyone out, and so I never said anything. And like, I guess that's why I'm having this conversation now, because I think talking about it is empowering and talking about it is healthy and necessary. So if you are having a hard time, I urge you to reach out to your friends, to your family, to a therapist, to whoever you feel safe with. And if you don't know anyone, there's tons of options for online help now where you don't even have to pick up the phone. You can literally like text chat it out. There's just so many options, but to be able to like know that it's not a shameful thing, and that like pretty much everyone goes through a form of it, is like so helpful. So again, going into this week, I was like, you know, I can't just like vlog myself going to Home Goods without telling you that like the underbelly of the vlog is I needed to get out of the house because I have been sitting in the same spot for 2 days, and Home Goods just feels like an easy place to go to where I can also like leave really quick and come home really quick if I'm feeling that sort of depression or anxiety while I'm there. Do you know what I mean? But otherwise, if I didn't have this conversation, I'd be like, and here's the new baking sheet I got from Home Goods for $6, which I got from Home Goods for $6. I'm very happy with my purchase. So there you go. That's the conversation. You know, I think it was Trish when she was pregnant. I didn't watch a lot of her pregnancy vlogs because, and some of you have already expressed this, if you got this far, maybe you're not this person, but like some people at the beginning were like, hey, I'm just not gonna be able to watch your pregnancy stuff because, you know, I'm trying to get pregnant and it's just, I'm not in the mental space to watch someone else go through it. And I was sort of feeling that in a different way. But I did hear her talk about some of this postpartum, maybe it was, or someone else was talking about it, and I was like, oh, it's so refreshing to hear someone at least like kind of express it. We don't need to like, this whole channel isn't going to be about that, and we don't need to like dive so deep into it. I'm not like an expert or anything, but I just want to be like a human on here. And hopefully in doing so, again, it makes someone feel a little less alone. I feel like I didn't make any sense this whole video, and I'm afraid I'm gonna watch this back and be like, okay, we will not be putting that on. Let's go to Home Goods and shoot that video. But here we are. Oh, another thing in terms of things to do to make yourself feel better. If you can exercise, I'm such an advocate of it. It's the one thing that I am so consistent about and continue to be consistent about through my pregnancy. And I really think, besides like talking and verbalizing how I'm feeling, I think it's the one thing that's keeping me like completely sane and keeping me like somewhat positive. It like, the endorphins I get from it are fantastic, and also just knowing I'm doing something positive for my body, because I've talked about this part before. There's a lot of like, I'm learning about my new body and I'm realizing that this body is never going to be the same now, and you know, accepting that weight gain is important, and that you know, my body's doing miraculous things. You know, I'm coming to terms with that as well, and that's a conversation that's so, I feel like, also taboo, that I'm finally trying to have these conversations with friends who have been pregnant, because it's helpful to have their insight on it. But I do feel that exercising, for me personally, helps sort of calm that negative self-talk around body image, and just ultimately, like, I know it's going to be so good for me when I'm giving birth to like be active this whole time, and also like for the baby, obviously. Me staying healthy is keeping the baby healthy. So there you go, word vomit, everyone. Let me know if this was helpful in any which way. I hope I didn't diminish anyone's feelings. I hope I did justice to everything. I always mean well. I always mean well, and I get stressed out thinking that anyone would think otherwise. That's my own issue. I'm also working through that. I'm such a people pleaser, and so anytime I see a comment that like misrepresents what I meant, like I even just like this baby product video, and I like, people like got offended at like calling some of these products weird. And it was all just like in good fun, and I tried to preface the video by being like, you do you parent the way you want. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a parent yet, but I do know not to judge other parents. But it's like, I think sometimes people don't only hear what they want to hear, and the rest, you know, flies out the window. So hopefully this video did a decent job at expressing how I'm feeling. Also letting you guys know that I am grateful. I'm not here to like complain on my channel all the time. I just feel like this is a valuable conversation that I wish I would have heard a couple months ago. So there you go. I love you guys. I'm going to brunch with some friends, so I think that would be good for me. I almost wanted to cancel this morning. I was like, no, get up, wash your hair, put a little makeup on, put a cute dress on, and get your brunch on. So that's where I'm off to now. Really working on reaching out more to my community, and that includes you guys. So thank you for being here. I love you all very much, and I'm looking forward to the week. Now I feel like now I got that out, it's good to get it off my chest, and yeah, onward, because that's what we do, guys. We just pick ourselves up and we keep going, because there's so much good on the horizon. All right, love you guys. See you next time.